Hey, well going everybody. It's the Nerdy Yardie, and today we're going to be doing Claude Code 101 CLAUDE.md file. So let's get to it. So I'll also add the link in the description so you can follow along. So the first thing they give us is this video, but already we say it all the time. We're going to read the article first and then we'll watch the video. So let's do all going. So it's the CLAUDE.md file. That's the title. One of the most useful features in Claude Code is the CLAUDE.md file. It gives Claude Code persistent memory about your project. Nice. All right. So the problem it solves, when you open Claude Code without a CLAUDE.md file, it starts fresh every time. It has to re-explore your code base, figure out what dependencies are needed, and understand what features are already implemented. Sometimes it makes assumptions, which makes it hard to steer Claude in the right direction. So I guess it's just basically what tools, you tell it from the start what tools it's going to need, what tools you're expecting, things that you are expecting, rather than having Claude start from scratch or trying to figure out what you might need. You kind of give it like an idea of what you need from the start. CLAUDE.md solves this. It's a markdown file you add to the root of your project, and Claude Code reads it automatically every time you start a new session. Think of it as an onboarding script for your code base. The contents of the CLAUDE.md file are appended to your prompt. Cool. All right, here's what. So basically, let's just run by this again. So pretty much before you start your session, it reads this CLAUDE.md file to figure out what you're gonna need. So as you start asking Claude Code to do some stuff, it's gonna check this to be like, oh, this is the style you like. This is the stuff that you like using. These are the dependencies that you like using, all of that. All right, an example. Here's what a typical CLAUDE.md file looks like. All right. Uproot or tailwind, tells what it's using, commands, run test, code style, tells us it's code style, prefer name, exports, all API routes. And you see, it's written as like pretty much English, natural English. It's not no coding or anything, it's just that natural English. So anybody could pretty much write these up. It's just telling it what you're gonna want in your project or whatever you're using it for. You see, it's straightforward. Now, if you ask Claude Code to create a React component, it already knows to use Tailwind for styling and to follow your code conventions, because pretty much it said it here. You use Tailwind, right? All right, instead of trying to figure out what you need. And then this is just another view of it. All right, CLAUDE.md is for teams. You can and should commit your CLAUDE.md to version control so your team benefits from it. There's actually a hierarchy of memory files depending on who they're for. Project level CLAUDE.md lives in the root directory of your project, shared with the team. So this is what everybody uses. The user level CLAUDE.md lives in your configuration folder. This one is just for you and applies across all your projects. Put your personal preferences here. Okay, so you have one where it's like, yeah, everybody on the team are going to follow these general rules. Maybe you set it that everybody must use Swift UI. And then that would be the team, pretty much CLAUDE.md file, or the project level CLAUDE.md file. But you might have my own coding style where I might like to use switches or whatever. And that would be the user level, Or maybe there are certain dependencies or frameworks I like to use, Yeah, like SD, Web Image, Swift UI, whatever. You get the point. If not, add some comments and we can just bounce ideas off. All right, so tips. Save corrections to memory. If you find yourself correcting Claude repeatedly, like telling it to always use server actions instead of API routes, explicitly ask Claude to save the rule to memory. Next time you open a project, it'll know. So if you have anything where you're just like, you keep having to correct Claude every single time, pretty much, just save it to memory so that you stop having that issue. Yeah. And now let's see what they're saying. So there are no API routes and it's blah, blah, blah. Where are the server actions? They're in src action. Okay, putting CLAUDE.md file to only use server actions instead of API. So they're pretty much that into memory. Reference project docs. If you have documentation in your project that you want Claude to reference, use the @ symbol with the file name. So if you reference another documentation, another doc that has some info that you want your CLAUDE.md file to reference to, I guess you just put this @ symbol in front of it. So you see how it says, please read if you need more info. And you just say @ and then read me.md file. All right, start without one, right? We recommend starting a project without a CLAUDE.md file. So you can see where you constantly have to course correct the model. This keeps your CLAUDE.md compact and focused on only the necessary information. When you're ready, run init to have Claude generate one for you. Okay. Recap. The difference between a frustrating Claude code session and a productive one often comes down to context. And the CLAUDE.md file is how you provide that context. Start with your stack, your preferences, and your commands, and then build from there as you go. This was like I feel like this was a decent article. Let's see how the video is. It's only 3 minutes too.
One of the most useful parts of Claude Code is the CLAUDE.md file. Choose space indentation, prefer named exports, all API routes go in app/API, use server
Again, it's just like regular English. Like anybody can read this. You might not understand everything it's saying, but you can read it and be like, yeah, it's not code, you know?
Set of API routes where possible. And it's
props to them for that. All right, so let's scroll down and let's just look at what we're going to look at in the next video. So in the next one, it's going to be about sub-agents. So let's just do a quick read, a quick preview. So it says sub-agents. Claude can delegate tasks to sub-agents that break them down and run component tasks in parallel. Improving your context management, each sub-agent operates in its own isolated context window. All right, so in the next video, we're pretty much just going to look at sub-agents. And if you look at how far we are pretty much almost done with this course. We have sub-agents, we have skills, MCP, hooks, and then we have the quiz. So get ready. We're about to do this. All right, you're with the Nerdy Yardy, and let's continue to learn this. We might make mistakes, but that's all part of learning. Because remember the motto, anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. All right, I'm out.